Welcome back to Inside Asia. Again, we are talking with His Excellency Ambassador Curtis Chin. Please come back to our topic. I would like to know more about your opinions about how to help people to be free from poverty, because poverty is some kind of big agenda for the government. So from your experience from the US, working in ADB, what is your lesson learned, or what are your lessons learned that you have learned from this, working experience?
No, a very important question, because even though we talk about the richness of Asia, you go to Singapore, you even go to Shanghai, you see amazing cities, but most of the poor people in the world still live in Asia. If you just look at the raw numbers, so a very important question. I think more people need to be discussing. From my own experiences on the board of the Asian Development Bank, from being in business in Asia, I think the real lesson is that governments can do some things, but at the end of the day, to fight poverty, governments need to put in place a system to allow businesses and people to really go about doing what they do best. Businesses, running their businesses, people thinking about their lives and what can they as individuals do to improve their own lives. Government should not be seen as the solution. That we really need to think about how do we put in place systems, a rule of law, a judicial system that it can ensure that businesses can grow, that people won't want to hide their money from the government, that people won't want to invest in businesses only outside their own countries. I think that's really the true answer to how do we fight poverty. It's putting in place a rule of law and a system to allow business to really go about doing their business, of doing business in a fair and transparent way. Many people ask me, because I've lived throughout the ASEAN region, who will be the next member of the famous BRIC. This is Brazil, Russia, India, and China, big emerging markets. And I think they all hope that I will say Indonesia, or the Philippines, or Thailand. And, I'm not sure which will be the next country that will join the BRIC. Some people now say South Africa is the newest member of the BRICS. But I would say I'd rather that people focus on what I call the lowercase BRIC, not the capital B-R-I-C, but a lowercase for bureaucracy. What can governments do to kind of reduce bureaucracy? Regulation. Is there too much regulation, or are regulations unfairly enforced? That one company is treated very differently than another country. Interventionism. Governments sometimes need to get out of the way, ensure a level playing field, and allow businesses to do their own things. That government should not pick one company over another. And my last letter, the small c, corruption and cronyism. In too many nations around the world, particularly developing nations, there's a lot of corruption and cronyism. All countries, United States, Finland, to Zimbabwe, there's corruption in all countries, but sometimes clearly it's out of control. So I think, to your question about, how do I fight poverty, I'd say one thing that governments can do is to focus on the small B-R-I-C, and put in place a system that allows businesses to succeed and the people to really build a better life for themselves.
From this respect, B-R-I-C, what do you see, especially for Thailand? What is the most, insurgency, what is the most important things that Thai government need to get rid of?
I'm not smart enough to probably answer that question, but I'd have to defer to some of the experts on Thailand. But from my outside perspective, from someone who's been very involved in business and in government, clearly any country, whether it's Thailand or Indonesia or the Philippines, which I know very well, have they lived there for 4 years, government needs to put in place a system to ensure that businesses feel comfortable investing in a country. And so when we talk about Thailand, and this is maybe we want to look at some of the numbers, is there more foreign investment? Is there less foreign investment? Why is that? Why aren't there more businesses wanting to invest in Thailand? Are there rules that need to be changed? Are the present rules not enforced equally? Does the Thai government treat Thai companies better than foreign companies in certain industries? Does the Thai government, does any government in the region need to change with regards to how it deals with intellectual property rights? All these sorts of questions, probably Thailand is better positioned than me to answer the question about what can Thailand do to move itself forward. But I hope it does it in a way that everyone is treated equally. When we talk about ASEAN moving forward towards a common market, one hope is that one country in ASEAN will not discriminate against another ASEAN countries, companies or people. That's a step forward. But my hope is that all those ASEAN nations won't discriminate against any non-ASEAN company or non-ASEAN person. Clearly, it'll be a step-by-step process forward. But one of the things that people forget is that when the United States was created, 200 plus years ago, it was almost 13 different countries, 13 different colonies. And so how did they come together to build the nation that it is today? And maybe there's some lessons that we can learn from ASEAN, but hopefully there's also lessons that that Thailand can learn from the success of the U.S. Clearly the world is changing, Asia is continuing to change, but I think there's some simple principles that still hold true, which is that we should have confidence in individuals, in people, in businesses, but let's let them go forth to compete and to succeed on their own without trying to shape them and tell businesses or people what to do.
So from this point, it is very interesting because there were some controversial things that business might come to take advantage, just only come to consume natural resources and come to consume the rich of the natural resources in ASEAN. What do you try to give us? I mean, what do you think about this kind of perspective?
I think it's a very fair point, and that's why when I talk about my fears of the new little brick, bureaucracy, regulations, interventionism, corruption or cronyism, when I talk about that R regulation, clearly some regulation is good. It's essential that somehow we got to kind of control sometimes or provide that framework for individuals and businesses. But at the same time, we need to allow businesses to succeed and to compete. So when you talk about use of natural resources, whether it's teak trees or natural gas or oil, clearly there needs to be some regulation there. And this is also very interesting because in my new role, I sit at the Asian Institute of Technology as a senior fellow, as an executive in residence. But actually, where I sit is a unique kind of joint venture between AIT and CSR Asia, Corporate Social Responsibility Asia. And part of their focus is trying to help companies think through not just what do you do with your money, but how do you make your money. So, during my time at the ADB, I'd always talk about, what is responsible development. I can talk to you for half an hour, but maybe you won't even remember what I say. So that's where I say, let me just kind of shape it very simply for me to communicate and other people to understand. I talked about the 3 Ps of responsible development: a focus on people, a focus on partnerships, and a focus on our planet. And so for people, how do we make sure development really helps the poorest of the poor? For partnership, how do we ensure that development is increasingly done with the private sector, with civil society, with NGOs, not just with these big aid agencies? And for planet, how do we do it in a way that also ensures that our systems, our resources are still there or providing that framework for future use of them down the line? So, you talk about kind of natural resources, which is a very important question. Asia is so rich in natural resources. But how do we benefit from them while also ensuring that future generations can also benefit from them? So there is that important balance, which I think is also part of responsible development. And clearly companies also need to be thinking about that. And the reality is that if they don't think about that, shareholders and governments will punish them. So all the more reason for governments to think about, how do I create that framework for business to be regulated as necessary, but allow them to succeed and succeed in a way that can ensure that our future generations of citizens can also benefit.
Wow, this is all about what we talk with His Excellency Curtis, and I think we can learn a lot from his perspective, both BRIC and PPP, people to people, planet and partnerships. So this is all for tonight's Inside Asia. Again, thank you so much. I don't know how to express my appreciation tonight because I have learned a lot of new things, and especially I hope that people in ASEAN, especially the government, will try to hear us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's again great to have been here with you. I think we can all learn from each other. Us from ASEAN, ASEAN from us. So. A great pleasure to be here this evening with you.
Thank you. Sawadee krap. Thank you to be with us tonight. See you again next time. Bye-bye.